Welcome to another edition of Taco About It Tuesday. You saw the play on words, obviously, Taco About It. Hopefully, you guys are having a great Tuesday. And I'm just curious, is anyone actually eating tacos today? Anybody? I am not. Oddly enough, the last Tuesdays I have had tacos on Taco Tuesday, but not today for me. But hopefully you guys are having a good lunch hour and are excited to learn about a topic that I'm excited about because my name is Joel Avey and I help out with internships in career services. So I'm a career counselor, but one of my specific areas of focus as a career counselor here at ESU is to help students find internships each and every year. And so my title is internship coordinator, and that involves just helping you guys any way that I can to help you find internships, which are very, very important parts of starting your career development. So obviously, one of our main goals in career services is to help students find meaningful careers when you graduate. And internships is a really big key in that not every student takes advantage of. We see a lot of students do take internships and participate in internships, but we see a lot of students that don't. But one of the things that we do is we encourage you to try to find an internship during your college career if at all possible. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to try to not do death by PowerPoint where I just have a ton of text on each of these slides and it bores you to death. This slide does have a lot of information and text on it because there's a lot of descriptions that I wanted to start with here right off the bat. Now, I'm going to give you a disclaimer. If any of you have any questions at all during this presentation, please don't be afraid to unmute your mics and ask a question, okay? It's not going to be rude. You can use the raise hand feature as well, and I'll try to call on you. You can chat and type in a question or a comment if you want to say anything. So I want you to communicate with me. If you have a question or have anything to say, please don't be afraid to do so. All right, so let's get started with the definition of what an internship is, okay? Because I think while I always hope that students know what an internship is, I do have found that a lot of students maybe are confused or don't know exactly really what an internship is. They sometimes have a vague idea, but it's not always accurate. So, whoops, I accidentally skipped a page there. So you can see the definition up there. It's kind of long and written out. I don't want to read that verbatim, but you can see what NACE, which is the National Association of Colleges and Employers, define an internship as. And I can basically summarize that description right up here as an internship being experiential learning, which is what, a fancy term in higher education that we use as practical learning or hands-on learning, where you experience what you're doing. That integrates that knowledge and theory and all those lessons that you learn in a classroom with practical application out in the real world, in a workforce environment, okay? In a professional environment. So internships involve you going out to an organization or a business and basically, practicing what you've learned in the classroom, and it's in an area that's related to your career, and getting some experience. You see that next sentence there that talks about giving students the opportunity to gain valuable experience and apply that to your work and make those connections in your professional field. So that's a big key with internships, is that it's related to your career and you're gaining experience maybe for the first time directly in your area of work that you want to go into. So with that said, that's kind of the long definition of what an internship is. And I'm going to kind of break down a little more about what an internship is so you kind of understand the characteristics and things that go into an internship. You can see right there that internships do have a predetermined start and end date that are generally a one-time experience. So most of the time, an internship is a one-time experience that you apply for, and you're going to have a start and an end date that's already set when you apply. Unlike most jobs, you have a start date, but you usually don't have an end date because you're going to work there as long as you can or want to, or if you have to move on or whatever it is. An internship does have an end date. And a lot of times they last anywhere from a month to a year. A year is definitely on the long side, and a month is usually on the short side. Most internships are offered throughout a semester, an academic semester, or a summer. That's what most internships are. So you're kind of in that 3-month range is how long most internships tend to last. Either a fall semester, a spring semester, or a summer semester. Okay, internships can be paid or unpaid. Most students obviously try to find paid internships. That's usually a goal. But there are a lot of internships out there that are unpaid. And what you want to do as a student is identify if you can afford to do an unpaid internship. If it is, you find an internship and it's unpaid, you want to determine if it's really worth it or not. If it's a great experience, then you might still want to consider it. If it's not, then obviously you want to find a paid position. Sometimes there are really great organizations that have unpaid internships that make it worth doing an unpaid position if you can afford it. And then also internships can vary between a few hours per week up to 40 hours a week. So typically during a school semester, you're usually only going to do maybe 5 to 10 up to 20 max a week. But during a summer semester, when you're not in school over the summer, sometimes those internships a lot of times are 40 hours a week, just like a full-time job would be. Okay, so those are some characteristics. Unlike most part-time jobs too, and I talked about this in the intro, is that most internships are directly tied and related to your career field, and they often can lead to a full-time job with that organization after you graduate. So that's a benefit right there. And so as we transition into that, let's talk about the benefits of why we get an internship. And if you have any questions right now, I'll pause for a second and wait to see if you have any, or if you want to chat one in. And like I said, I'll follow the chat too as well to see if you guys have any comments or questions throughout. So. And not hearing any, I'll continue to monitor the chat, but let's get into why you should get an internship, okay? So why should I get an internship is a question I get a lot from students. And you can see right there, according to NACE, over 70% of interns receive a job offer after they completed an internship. So if you're looking for a full-time job, you can look at how great those odds are that you're gonna get a full-time job after an internship. Not always, but 70% of the time, you get a job offer, which is awesome, okay? And students who have gained that or have that internship experience gain the skills that give them an edge in the job market over students who don't have an internship. And you can see there too, the next stat, that on average, most students who complete an internship they receive more full-time offers after graduation than non-interns. So your chances of getting a job and a good job are much higher when you do an internship. So if you're on the fence about whether to do it or not, do it. Okay, and students, obviously, we've been talking about this, about how you gain valuable hands-on work experience that increases your employability. Employers often want to know what your experience is in your career field when you go to apply for a job. And a lot of times students come to me and they say, well, I'm a college student. I don't have any experience as an accountant or in computer science or whatever, or in counseling. Whatever area it is. So this is where you go get that hands-on real life work experience, is doing an internship, okay? And then obviously it gives you a chance, if you do an internship, to explore a career path and determine if it's a good fit or not, all right? It's a great opportunity for you to test drive your career, to see if you want to do that for your career or not, or if it's something that maybe this isn't the right fit for me. All right, and interns hired as permanent employees after their internships typically have a higher retention rate, which means they stick around longer. They don't get fired as often. They don't change jobs as often because they have that connection with the organization that they gained as an intern. And then finally, students with internship experience often have an easier transition into those jobs, okay? Sometimes if you haven't had a lot of related work experience or professional work experience, that first full-time job can hit you in the face kind of hard if you're not used to all the professionalism and skills that you can gain in positions like this. So interns have experienced that, and it helps them transition a little easier into that first full-time job. Okay, so what to know before you start searching and before you start applying. All right, so narrow your search right off the bat. That is one of the key things. A lot of times students will come to me and they'll be like, I'll ask what they want to look for. And their search is so broad that they haven't narrowed it down in any way. It's really critical right off the bat that you try to narrow your search down. Okay, that means you need to identify what type of internship you're looking for and what the purpose of it is. Okay, is it for a class requirement, or is it that you're really trying to explore your career, get your foot in the door with a specific type of company? Okay, what type of internship are you looking for? Okay, where is it a specific position, for instance, or can it be more broad and general? Right? Location, where is it going to be located? Does it need to be in your hometown? Does it need to be here in Emporia? Can it be anywhere in the world? Or do you want to go experience New York City or LA or something like that? Or are you more about, a smaller community? Identify location, however you can, what you prefer. And obviously paid versus unpaid, making that determination if you need to be paid or if you can do it unpaid financially or not. How many hours you can intern, that's critical. During the summer, you're going to have more hours probably, unless you have another second job. But during the school year, you're probably not going to have as many hours. And that's why the when bullet point, which is next, is critical. Identifying if you're going to do it during the school year or during the summer. A lot of students tend to do summer internships unless it's part of your curriculum during the school year. And what school year do you want to apply? Okay, some students, interns, want to apply right away as freshmen, and that's great and that's fine, but some internships require you to be maybe a sophomore or a junior. On the flip side, you don't want to wait till your senior year to do an internship after your senior year because you're graduated. So most interns target maybe that sophomore or junior or both years. A lot of times, junior years for sure, you want to do an internship after your junior year before your senior year starts, okay? And then they often will offer you a full-time job between your junior and senior year, and you don't have to worry about searching for a job your senior year. It's great. And then finally, are you qualified? This is critical. So it goes back to whether you're qualified, if they require you to be a sophomore or a junior, or for the certain skills and things that they need you to know. You need to make sure that you're qualified when you go to apply for positions. And you just want to read the job description and see whether you're qualified or not. They a lot of times will require a specific GPA as well that you have to meet. Okay, internship searches. I heard some students talking here at the beginning that they're just starting their search or searching for internships now. Keep in mind that internship searches can take a couple of months. So you want to start early and apply often, okay? Start your search now. Ideally, you would have started actually at the end of August or beginning of September. But because most searches take about 3 months on average to find a position. That goes for full-time jobs and internships. The average job search takes 3 to 6 months. And many organizations who are hiring internships for this coming summer, the summer of 21, they're actually interviewing and hiring their interns right now during the fall. So I often tell students that September and October and November are when a lot of students are hired for summer internships. And spring, some spring, but even spring internships were often hired earlier. So if you're wanting a spring or summer internship, you need to be applying right now because a lot of them are hiring in September, October, and November. December, it starts to slow down a little as you get to Christmas time. And then even right into the beginning of January, at the beginning of the year, it's a little slower. But by mid-January and February and March, there's a little more hiring. But if you aren't applying at all in the fall semester, you're missing out on probably at least half of those internship positions. So for the summer. So you want to get applying for internships this summer now, if you are wanting one, and for sure for the spring, okay? And it can take many applications to get hired. So don't get discouraged if you apply for 5 places and don't hear back or even get an interview or get hired. A lot of times it's going to take people 10 to 20 applications to get a position filled, okay, and get hired. Don't be discouraged on that. Just apply a lot of different places. Continuing this conversation, the things that you need to know before you apply. Is your resume ready? A lot of times students start applying before their resume is ready. So you want to make sure that your resume has been looked at and by our office or a professor or something, that your resume is ready to go before you send it out and apply for a bunch of internships. If you send your resume out before without having it looked at and it doesn't look very good, you've kind of wasted a lot of applications by not having it checked out before you send it out. Are you prepared for interviews? Okay, you're probably going to get interviewed. And a lot of times, if you've never done a professional interview, that can be very nerve-wracking. So do a practice interview with our office, or if you feel confident with your interviews, that's great, but you might want to do some preparation on your own before you start interviewing. Create a tracking process for your search, okay, and all the different places you're applying. Create an Excel spreadsheet, a Google Doc, or a Word doc. I don't care what it is, but I recommend you create some sort of tracking document that follows where you're applying and where you're communicating. For instance, I want you to list, like on an Excel spreadsheet, all the different places you're applying, the different contact people at those organizations, their name, and then their phone number and email, their contact information, and then a brief description of what you've been doing. For instance, you can say, applied on October 7th with Westar, or or with Blue Cross Blue Shield, whatever it is. And then you want to say, for instance, who you talked to, or the conversations. Like you could say, contacted Evergy on October 14th. I spoke with Sally in HR. She said she'd get back to me in a week. Okay, so then when you're getting to late October and you realize that Sally didn't get back to you and you talked to her on October 14th, you know it's time to follow back up with Sally again. So that tracking document saves you a lot of time and effort when you're applying for positions. And then follow up throughout the process. Okay, ask them if they got your application, or if the deadline is passed, when are you guys going to do interviews? But don't be annoying. I always say be persistent, but not annoying. You can communicate a time or two, but just not overly, right? You don't want to keep bothering them, but it's okay to be persistent and communicate once or twice through the process. Okay, do you need academic credit? That's a critical one. Some of you, Marta, for instance, you need academic credit for this a lot of times, for the psychology department. So if you do, then you can apply for an internship course. If you don't need to apply for an internship course, but it's your choice if you want academic credit or not. And finally, if you are an international student, make sure to pay attention to all the different requirements and considerations. The Office of International Education and Career Services, we both can help you with more information and specifics on that, but you would need to be applying for CPT to do an internship, and you want to communicate with OIE and our office on some of those different requirements. Okay, I want to pause real quick before I get into how I can find one, and see if you have any questions yet. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, we'll move on to the searching, because this is what we're all here for probably. How to find one, right? That's the million-dollar question. How do I find an internship? It can be very, very, very tricky. Okay, the first one right off the bat there, your personal network is critical. It's the most important way to find an internship. It's the best way to find an internship. Your personal network. You noticed I put a bunch of websites and places that you can use online resources, but where did I put them? Below your personal network, because your personal network is number one on the list for how you should go about finding an internship. What do I mean by your personal network? I'm talking about your family members, your professors, okay, fellow classmates. When you go to career fairs, people from different companies that you meet with, your friends, your family of friends, anyone in your personal network. You'll be surprised and shocked how many people you know that have connections all over. Okay, but you have to tap into those things. You have to let them know you're searching and ask. Okay, don't be embarrassed about it. Professors are a great source for you, and a lot of times students don't utilize their professors in their search. But if you think about it, your professors are experts in that area, and they often have connections and people that they know. A lot of times you don't utilize your family, but your parents often know people or work with people that can get you an internship somewhere. Your classmates, a lot of times they have done internships or know students that have interned different places. Okay, and then like I said, go to career fairs and networking events and try to find connections as well. Okay, personal networking, about 75% of jobs and internships are filled through personal networking. So if you're spending 75% of your search online, you're kind of doing it wrong. You want to focus most of it in your personal communication with people and who you know, okay? And then still use the online resources, but just not quite as much as the personal network. Apply through Handshake. I'm not going to show you each detail on how to do these overly, but I might click on it briefly and show you kind of quickly how to do this. But for instance, if you want to apply on Handshake, you can use Handshake here and log in, and then you can search for jobs and internships. I'll show you very briefly where you can do that. Let's just show you here. So when you go to your student account, you can search jobs, and then you just type it in the search up here. You can select your different filters, and you can search for internships and then filter them by location or whatever you're looking for. So Handshake is a great tool, obviously, that you can use, and one that we encourage. Okay, LinkedIn. Hopefully you have a LinkedIn account. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, create one. It's like a second resume that you can use. And here's where you can also search jobs, and then you just select internships. You can say accounting, and then you can just say Kansas City, just as an example. And when you go to search, experience level right here, you can do internship, boom, and then apply. And it's going to list all these different places. The cool thing about LinkedIn is it shows different alumni from ESU or wherever you go to school that work there that you can communicate with, okay? Google Jobs, you can just search internships near me, which I literally searched, internships near me. You could say accounting internships near me. The thing about Google that's great, if you just Google search internships, it uses all the different websites from like Glassdoor, LinkedIn, all the different places that you can go to search. I can do accounting internships, Kansas City. And it's very cool because it just utilizes all these different places. You can see this one, is posted right here via jobs at Hallmark. This one's posted from LinkedIn. A lot of times they'll do positions from Glassdoor, I mentioned, just several different places that Google uses all those different search engines. Okay, I encourage you to use that website. Professional organization websites. If you are in psychology, go to the different professional psychology organizations and associations and search their websites. Okay, social media, the favorite places that you follow, the companies. And then obviously our career services Hornet site. We have some different tools and tips on our internship site here that has information. Even if you're an international student, it has information on that too. Maybe you can click on these different areas that give you resources on where you can find things, okay? A lot of different places. And then finally, an appointment with me in career services, okay? You can schedule an internship appointment with me and I'll be happy to meet with you. Okay, so we're going to go through these ones fairly quickly because this is the point where you do have an internship. I just want a few things for you to know to do when you do get an internship. Okay, obviously, some things you should do is ask a lot of questions. Okay, don't be embarrassed to ask. Okay, they don't assume that you know everything, and that's how you're going to learn. You want to develop professional relationships and not be in your shell all the time, but open up and try to communicate and find, your mentor or your supervisor and have regular communication and develop relationships with them because they become your future personal network. Set personal goals that you want to achieve, okay? You need to set whatever you want to learn specifically, make them specific and set out to learn. Conduct informational interviews with people at the organization. That means just sitting down for coffee or lunch or something and interview them about their job. Not in a formal capacity, but just ask them targeted questions about their career. Feature your internship on your resume. A lot of students forget to do that. Find a way to talk about your internship and what you've learned and all the skills you utilize. Put it on your resume. I talked about LinkedIn. Create a LinkedIn profile. Put your internship on that too. Okay. Obviously, you want to show up and be on time and get your work done, do your best, all that stuff. You know that, but you got to make that a priority because this is a reflection of you. And then finally, you're going to utilize your manager, mentor, and employees as much as you can during this experience because they can make that experience so much better for you and they're going to influence your career moving forward. They're going to be part of that network, right? Finally, after your internship, you need to say thank you, write them a thank you note, an email, whatever it is, phone call. I would send a note, a handwritten note if you can. Don't badmouth your organization or people at the organization. It comes back around and makes you look unprofessional. Okay, be honest with your employer about your experience. If they do a wrap-up interview with you, be honest about what it was like, and they can make it better. Maintain confidentiality if you had confidential files or information that you worked with. Even after your internship, that doesn't mean you can just blab on about those things or let the cat out of the bag on some secret. You need to keep confidentiality. Stay in touch with them. Continue communicating with them after the internship. Again, they're part of your personal network, okay? And if you're going to ask for a job, ask for it the right way. Do it tactfully, okay? But have a plan in place for how you're going to ask for a job if they don't offer you one. Get feedback from them, okay? When you do an informational interview, ask them, how did I do? What do I need to improve on? What did I do well? Get specific feedback from them. And then update your LinkedIn profile and resume once you've done your internship. Make sure, I talked about highlighting these things on your resume and LinkedIn profile. Make sure you do that. And then talk about that internship in your job interviews, okay? When you go into those job interviews, you want to be able to talk about what you did in your internship, okay? Just some final wrap-up things here. There is a Jonathan Micah's Career Development Scholarship that I want you guys to look into if you are seriously applying for internships and you want a great resource for some possible scholarship money. Okay, we are selecting students, so it's not as if you apply for this, you automatically get it. It's an application process. But the Jonathan Micah's Career Development Scholarship basically is funded by an anonymous donor that's an ESU alum who wanted to provide interns with a scholarship each year to help fund their internships. In addition to receiving the scholarship, the students are going to be, who are chosen, they're going to be able to have mentoring opportunities from experienced professionals in their area, okay, in their career area. So they'll hook you up with a mentor who can talk to you. Okay, to apply for this, you got to have at least a 2.5 GPA, and you must have an internship site secured. So that means you want to start searching and make sure you have a position already in hand to apply. That's why we made the deadline way out in March, so you have time to get in a position for this summer. So the deadline to apply is March 12th at 5 o'clock. So Friday, March 12th is right when you guys have spring break. So the applications are due then, and then we'll announce the winners on Monday, March 29th. So we give you plenty of time to find an internship between now and then. We require you to have an internship so that way we aren't giving scholarship money to people who don't end up actually getting them. And here's the place where you go to apply. It's on our Hornet site that I showed you earlier, but I have a direct link here. We'll put it all over social media as well. But this is just what the application form, it takes you to our Career Services Hornet site, and there's an application form and description right here. Just click the form, and it tells you all these different things that you need to do in the form. Fill it out and submit it. And then hopefully you can get some good scholarship money to help you, in your internship. And you get that on top of your internship, whether it's you have a paid position already or unpaid, okay? All right, so that basically wraps up the stuff that I wanted to talk to you about. Now I have a time for questions where I'd love to answer anything you're curious about. And please don't be shy, whether you want to ask them verbally or type it into the chat. I'll just pause for a little bit and wait to see if you have any questions.
For students who need course requirements, is that something we'd need to talk to your department about, or is that something we should ask our counselors about?
Yeah, great question. I would ask your academic advisor in your area first, okay? And find out what you need to do, because a lot of times they'll tell you if you need it for your program or not, and then that can determine what you enroll in. Because if you need it for your program, then you would enroll in your specific one, like your psychology course. If you were a different major that didn't require an internship, or if your program, your department does not offer one, then you can apply for one even through our department. We have academic credit. We offer 0 to 6 hour courses, all the way from a 0 credit internship where you get it still put on your transcript, but you don't have to pay for it basically, all the way up to a 6 hour course, any hours in between. But if you need if your department offers an internship credit, or if you need it, then you need to do it through your department. So always check with your department first. Great question though. And Marta, I would encourage you also to work with them too on identifying some specific places to apply for psychology internships. I do have a list of different places if you're having trouble finding them that I can help you with as well. But your department should also probably be, helpful in identifying some locations for you to get that mandatory position. Good question.
Where do we go to set up one-on-one appointments?
Handshake. So log into Handshake, and I'm assuming with me that you're talking about. Go into Handshake and then just schedule appointments. I can demonstrate that here. Let's go back to this. And you just go to Career Center, and then appointments. And then you could just schedule a new appointment right there. And then it has all the different ones. So you do internships, and then it would select it right there. Now, also in Handshake, there's some cool things. If you go to Career Center again, you see this resources tab. This is awesome, guys. There's a lot of different things in this resources tab. So again, Career Center and resources on Handshake. And it has all these different things on how to apply for jobs, but it also has resume assistance, interview preparation, cover letters, you name it. I mean, just all sorts of different cool stuff. So you can see all these different awesome resources that you can utilize on Handshake. And yeah, if you want to schedule a one-on-one appointment with me, I'm more than happy to meet with you and help give some specific information that you might, need help with. I have some different connections and knowledge of different companies and organizations and different communities and cities and towns, and also just general advice for you. So, if you want to meet separately, then I'm happy to do that. And don't forget, obviously, I really do encourage you, in addition to meeting with me, if you guys are considering this, do talk to your professors, okay? And if you're in the School of Business, the Biz Hornet Center has help too. Carol Lucy also is an internship coordinator for the School of Business that you can also meet with her separately as well. Meet with multiple people is what I recommend, not just me or not just them, multiple people. What other questions do we have? All right, does anyone else have questions? If not, I'll have to sign off. So, and if you do, have questions, my contact info should be on our website, but if you need to send me an email, it's JEWY, Y as in yellow, at emporia.edu. So again, that's JEWY at emporia.edu. You can send me an email and ask a question. My name is Joel, and again, that last name's kind of tricky. It's actually pronounced Avy, but it's spelled EWY, but the pronunciation is like the two letters, an A and a V, Avy. It's really weird. Well, seeing that there's no other questions, we'll sign off, and hopefully you guys got something out of today, and are ready to go out and search for internships on your own, and and have some good success here this fall. Thanks for joining today, and I hope you guys have a great fall semester, and just let me know if you need anything or want to schedule an appointment in the future, okay?
Thank you.
All right, have a great day.